Ajnana timirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikayai Priyatmane Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Iti Namine Vandehum Shri Guru Baram Shri Rupanuga Bhavaram Rajarasa Rasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapamanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Ramanataya Bhutale Rupanuga Bhakti Damsa Kripamurtim Narayanam Śrī Kṛṣṇa Katane Sudaksam Odarya Madhurya Gunascha Yuktam Parambarinyam Parasam Mahantam Narayanam Samsarasanamani. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Keshavapsaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Vamana Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhakti Vedanta Svaminiti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Acharya Simarupine Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshavayiti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Iti Namine. Nama Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Paragya Mutaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padam Bhajayate Namaha. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Bharayate Panchakalpa Turubhyas Gaura Vibhave Bhumesvam Nidesha Sajana Priya Vaishnava Savabhoma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha. Panchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patintanam Pavendyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavandanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Caitanya Namne Gauratize Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandha Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi O Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jayotam Sarata Pango Namamanda Mate Gati Matsarvasa Padam Bhajao Radha Madana Mohanu Divya Brindaranya Kulpa Drumada Śrīmad Ratnagara Śrīmasanaso Śrīmad Radha Śrīla Govinda Devau Prastalibhya Saiva Mano Smarami Śrīman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsi Vakta Tatastita Pashandenu Svane Gopie Gopinata Shri Estuna Vrindaya Tulasi Devi Ai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavacya Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta-rupa Svarupakam Bhakta-vattaram Bhakta-kiyam Namami Bhakta-shaktikam Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhara Śrīvasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so we almost finished the introduction last week. So we're just going to take off from where we left off. We were talking about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's life. So I'll just continue from there. Okay, so we'll just go into that. In the first division of the book, the Jaiva-Dharma book, there is an analysis of nitya-dharma, eternal religious duties, related to the very nature of the soul, and naimittika-dharma, occasional or temporary religious duties related to one's moral obligations in this world. Now, in the second division, there is a thorough description of the truths of sambandha, abhideya and prayojana, which is solidly based on evidence from the Shastra. In the third division, there is a penetrating discussion of the nature of rasa. And according to Srila Prabhupada's line of thought, one should not enter into rasa vichar, a consideration of the confidential transcendental mellows of bhakti, until he has attained higher qualifications. An unqualified sadhaka will impede his progress rather than helping it, if he makes an unauthorized attempt to enter into rasa vichar. Srila Prabhupada has expressed this clearly in numerous articles such as Bhai Sahaja, my brother who cheapens the sanctity of spiritual life by equating his material instincts with spiritual emotions, and Prakrita Rasa Satadusani, 100 objections to perverted material mellows. One should therefore exercise caution in this matter. The original Jaiva-Dharma was written in Bengali, but the book uses Sanskrit extensively, for it contains many quotations from Shastra. In a very short time, at least 12 large editions of this book have already been published in Bengali, which shows how popular it is. This present Hindi edition of Jaiva-Dharma has been printed according to the system used for the most recent Bengali edition of Jaiva-Dharma, published in a new format by the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. Tridandi Swami Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, the highly competent editor of the Hindi monthly spiritual magazine Sri Bhagavat Patrika, took great pains to translate this book into Hindi and published it in the magazine in a series of articles spanning a period of 6 years. At the repeated request of many faithful readers, he has now published these articles in book form for the benefit of the Hindi-speaking religious populace. In this connection, I feel compelled to note that our highly distinguished translator's mother tongue is Hindi, and he learnt Bengali in order to study this book. And after thoroughly mastering both the language and the subject matter, he accepted the difficulty and substantial labour of translating it into Hindi. I am very pleased at heart that he has expertly preserved the rigorous philosophy, the deeply profound analysis of Ras, and the lofty and subtle moods of the original book. The Hindi-speaking world will remain indebted to him for this monumental work. In particular, Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur will definitely bestow great mercy on him for his tireless service. Above all, I must say that it is only because the sadhakas who were involved in the production of this book hold me in some esteem that my name has been used in connection with the editing of this book. In reality, it is the translator and publisher, Tridandi Swami Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj, who has done all the editing work, and who is thus the object of my special affection and blessings. I have complete faith that by studying this book, both the faithful public and the learned scholars of this country will gain knowledge of the fundamental truths of Sambandha, Abhidaya and Prayojana, which were practiced and preached by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. By so doing, they will become eligible to enter the Prem Dharma of Śrī Radha Krishna and Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. In conclusion, I pray that the readers will bestow profuse blessings upon us by reading this book very carefully. Śrī Kesavaji Gaudiya Mathura, UP 1966. Srila Prabhupada, Kinkara, Tridandi Bhikshu, Śrī Bhakti Pragyan Kesava. So before we start chapter 1, I'd like to go to page 870, which is the Phula Stuti, the fruits of hearing. So we'll have a look at that. We'll sing it actually. Page 870. Phula Stuti. If you have a book, you can just have a look. Okay. So Privitiyata katha dharma nama chale Bhagavate kahe sabha paripurna chale. As indicated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, all the philosophies on earth that are celebrated as dharma are utterly deceptive. Chaladama chadikara satya dharme mati chatta varga tyajitara nitya prema gati. One should completely abandon such deceptive dharmas and absorb his mind in true dharma. In other words, one should give up the fourfold goals of material life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and aspire solely for the ultimate destination of nitya prem. Amitva mimamsa brahmeni jada buddhi nirvisesha brahma jnane nahachita sudhi. And those who are deluded identify themselves with matter that is their error. However, one cannot be purified of such delusion by endeavours for nirvisesha brahma gyan. Vichitratra hina hale nirvisesha hoya kalasimatulya seha apakrita noya. The Māyā body thinks Śrī Kṛṣṇa to be subject to the limitations of time, such as birth and death, and considers that he is not transcendental. Thus he rejects Sri Bhagavan's vichitrata, astonishing characteristics, paraphernalias, quality and lila. Through this vicious attempt, he is left with the philosophy of nirvisesha Brahma. Kandagyan heya dharma achay sun nischaya pakrita hoile kabu apakrita noya. Such base and contemptible gyan, which arises out of an attempt to dismember the divine form of Bhagavān, is only fit to be rejected. It is prakrita, materialistic, and should never be given credence as apakrita dharma. Jade dvaita jnana heya chitte upadeya Krishna bhaktis chiradina upaye. Such knowledge, which is solely related to the duality of this dull material world, is fit to be rejected, whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, chit jagat, should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the upaya, means of attainment, and the upaye, goal worthy of attainment. Jīva kabu jadanoya hari kabu naya hari saha java chintaya bhedābheda Māyā. The Jīva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he kevalad-vaita, absolutely one in all ways with Sri Hari. The Jīva is inconceivably different and non-different from Hari. Deha kabu jiva naya dara bhogya naya dasya bhogya jiva Kṛṣṇa prabhu bhakta haya. The material body should never be considered to be the Jīva, and this earth is not for the Jīva to exploit and enjoy. The Jīva's swarup is Kṛṣṇa-dāsa, and thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, whereas Śrī Kṛṣṇa's swarup is Prabhu, master, and Bhakta, enjoyer. Jaiva-Dharma nahi ache deha-dharma karta, nahi ache jiva jane, Māyā vada prataha. This book, entitled Jaiva-Dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Māyā doctrine of the Jiva's oneness with Brahma. Jīva nitya-dharma bhakti tahe jadanayi, Sudha Jīva prema seva phale payatai. The Jiva's nitya-dharma is bhakti devoid of material motivation. The Jīva, purified by seva, attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prem. Jaiva-Dharma pate sei Sudha bhakti hoya. Jaiva-Dharma napadile kabu bhakti naya. One who reads Jaiva-Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Sudha bhakti, but one who does not read Jaiva-Dharma can never attain bhakti. Rupanuga abhimane pate drida hoya, Jaiva-Dharma vimukake dharma hina kaya. Faithfully reading Jaiva-Dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva-Dharma is certainly devoid of Dharma. Yavat jivana jai pade Jaiva-Dharma bhaktim manse jane britad jnana karma. One who faithfully reads Jaiva-Dharma throughout his whole life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of jnana and karma. Krishnera amala seva labhi senara seva sukhe magna rahe sada Krishna paro. Such a man, being fully devoted to Sri Sri Radha Krishna, Yugala Kishore, and having attained the Amala Prema Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such Seva. So now we'll go back to chapter 1. Actually, I would just like to do a prayer to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachinananda Namine Gaura Shakti Svarupaya Rupanuga Parayote. So he's Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, with this prayer to him, says, I offer pranams to you, Srila Sachinananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the foremost of Rupanugas and the personal manifestation of Sri Gauranga Shakti, Gadadhar Pandit. Okay, so now we'll go to the first chapter, chapter 1. the eternal and temporary dharmas of the Jīva. So somebody wanted to join. I'll work it out. Okay, we'll start. Within this universe, the middle planetary system, shaped like a lotus flower, is known as Bhūmandal. In Bhūmandal, there are 7 islands which extend outward in concentric circles like the whole of a lotus flower. At the center of this whole is the island of Jambudvip, which is super excellent among all the places in Bhūmandal. In Jambudvip, the land of Bharat Vasa is eminent, and within Bharat Vasa, the topmost place is Gaudiya Bhumi. And within Gaudiya Bhumi, the 9 island regions of Śrī Navadvip Mandal is supremely distinguished. And in one area of Śrī Navadvip Mandal, a beautiful settlement named Śrī Godrum is eternally situated on the eastern bank of the Bhagirathi river. In ancient times, many stalwart practitioners of bhajan lived in the various places of Śrī Godrum. It was here that Śrī Surabhi, a cow of divine origin, previously worshipped the Supreme Lord, Bhagavān Śrī Gaurachandra, in her own kunja, a grove shaded with fragrant flowering creepers. And at a little distance from this kunj is Pradyumna Kunja. Here, Sri Premadāsa Paramahaṁsa Bābājī, a Shiksha disciple of Pradyumna Brahmachari, the best among the associates of Sri Gaurachandra, now lived in a kutir, hut, covered with vines and dense foliage, and spent his time constantly immersed in the divine rapture of bhajan. Sri Premadāsa Bābājī was a refined scholar and was fully conversant with all the conclusions of the Shastras. He has taken shelter of the forest of Śrī Godrum with single-minded conviction, knowing it to be non-different in essence from Śrī Hari. Śrī Nandagram. As a daily routine, Babaji Maharaj chanted 200,000 holy names and offered hundreds of obeisance to all the Vaishnavas. Maintaining his existence by accepting alms from the houses of the cowherd men had become one of the regulated principles in his life. And whenever he found a spare moment from these activities, he spent his time not in idle gossip, but in reading the book of Sri Prema Vivarta by Sri Jagadananda, a confidential associate of Sri Gaurasundara. At such times, neighbouring Vaishnavas gathered and listened with great devotion as Babaji read with tear-filled eyes. And why would they not come to hear? This divine treatise, Prema Vivarta, is filled with all the conclusions of Ras, the condensed liquid essence of integrated transcendental emotions. Moreover, the Vaishnavas were inundated by the waves of Babaji's sweet, resonant voice, which extinguished the venomous fire of sensuality in their hearts like a shower of nectar. One afternoon, having completed his chanting of Sri Harinam, Babaji Mahasaya sat reading Sri Prema Vivarta in his bower shaded by vines of Madhavi and jasmine, and became immersed in an ocean of transcendental emotions. Just then, a mendicant in the renounced order of life approached him, fell at his feet, and stayed prostrated in obeisance for a considerable time. At first, Babaji Mahasaya remained absorbed in the bliss of transcendental ecstasy, but after a while, when he returned to external consciousness, he beheld the Sannyas Mahatma lying before him. Considering himself more worthless and insignificant than a blade of grass, Babaji fell in front of the sannyas and began to weep, exclaiming, "Oh Chaitanya, oh Nityananda, please be merciful upon this fallen wretch." And the Sannyāsī Ṭhākura then said, "Prabhu, I am extremely vile and destitute. Why do you mock me like this?" The sannyas proceeded to take the dust of Babaji Mahasaya's feet upon his head and then set before him. So Babaji Mahasaya is just expressing humility as a Vaishnava to this new person, the sannyas. So Babaji Mahasaya offered him a seat of banana tree bark, and sitting beside him, spoke in a voice choked with love, "Prabhu, what service may this worthless person offer you?" The sannyasi set aside his begging bowl and with folded hands began to speak. "O Master, I am most unfortunate. I have spent my time in Kasi and other holy places debating the analytical conclusions of the religious texts such as Sankhya, Patanjala, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa, and exhaustively studying the Upanishads and the other Vedanta Shastras. And about 12 years ago, I accepted the renounced order of life from Sri Satchidananda Sarasvati. And having accepted the staff of the renounced order, I travelled to all the holy places, and wherever I went in India, I kept the company of sannyasis who adhere to the doctrine of Sri Shankara. In due course of time, I passed beyond the first three stages of the renounced order, Kuticaka, Bahudaka, and Hamsa, and attained the highest status of Paramahaṁsa, in which I have remained for some time. In Varanasi, I adopted a vow of silence and abided by those statements that Sri Shankaracharya proclaimed to be the Mahavakya, chief axioms of the Vedas, Aham, Brahmamsi, Pragyanam, Brahma, and Tattvam Asi. However, the happiness and spiritual satisfaction that I was supposed to find did not come to me. One day, I saw a Vaishnava sadhu loudly singing about the pastimes of Sri Hari. I opened my eyes and saw that he was bathed in streams of tears, and in his ecstatic rapture, the hairs of his body were standing on end. He was chanting the names, Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, and in a choked up voice, and as he danced, his feet slipped so that he fell on the ground again and again. And when I saw him and heard his song, my heart filled with an indescribable ecstasy. Although that mystical experience was so overwhelming, in order to protect my status as a Paramahamsa, I did not speak with him at all. Alas, fie on my rank and status, cursed be my destiny. I don't know why, but since that day my heart has become attracted to Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya's lotus feet. Shortly thereafter I became obsessed with this desire to find that Vaishnava sadhu, but I could not see him anywhere. Never before had I experienced anything like the untainted bliss that I felt when I saw him and heard the holy name emanating from his mouth. After considerable thought, I concluded that the highest benefit for me would be to take shelter at the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. I left Kashi and went to the beautiful holy land of Sri Vrindavan. There I saw many Vaishnavas uttering the names of Sri Rup, Sanatan, and Jīva Goswami in a mood of great lamentation. They were absorbed in meditation on the pastimes of Sri Radha-Krishna, and they rolled on the ground chanting the name of Sri Navadip. And when I saw and heard these, a greed arose within me to behold the beautiful holy Dharma of Navadip. I circumambulated the 168 square miles of Sri Brajadam and came to Sri Mayapur just a few days ago. I heard of your glories in the town of Mayapur, so I have come today to take shelter of your lotus feet. Please fulfill my life's aspiration by making this servant an object of your mercy. Paramahaṁsa Bābājī Mahasaya took a blade of grass between his teeth, and weeping he said, "O Sannyāsī Ṭhākura, I am absolutely worthless. I have uselessly spent my life filling my belly, sleeping and engaging in futile talks. It is true that I have taken up residence in this sacred place where Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya enacted his pastimes. But as the days fly by, I find myself unable to taste these things known as Krishna Prem. You are so fortunate, for you have tasted that divine love merely by seeing a Vaishnava for just a moment. You have received the mercy of Krishna Chaitanya Dev. I will be very grateful if you will kindly remember this fallen wretch for a moment when you are tasting that Prem. Then my life will be successful." So how much humility that this Paramahaṁsa Bābājī Mahasaya is expressing to this sannyas, because he is actually a pure devotee. So saying this, Bābājī embraced the sannyas and bathed him with his tears. And when Sannyas Maharaj starts to touch the limbs of the Vaishnava, he experienced unprecedented bliss within his heart. He began to dance as he wept, and as he danced he began to sing, "Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya, Śrī Prabhu Nityananda, Jaya Premadasa Guru Jaya Bhajanananda. All glories to Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. All glories to my divine master Premadas and to the bliss of bhajan. Paramahaṁsa Bābājī and Sannyāsī Ṭhākura danced and performed kirtans for a long time. And when they stopped, they spoke together on many topics. And finally, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī said very, very humbly, "Oh Mahatma, kindly stay here in Pradyumna Kunja for a few days, just to purify me." The sannyas said, "I have offered my body at your lotus feet. Why do you speak of a few days only? My anxious prayer is that I may serve you until I give up this body." Sannyāsī Ṭhākura was an erudite scholar of all the Shastras. He knew very well that if one stays in the residence of the Guru, one will naturally receive the Guru's instruction. So he took up residence in that grove with great delight. After a few days, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī said to the elevated sannyasi, "Oh Mahatma, Sri Pradyumna Brahmachari has mercifully given me shelter at his lotus feet. At present, he lives in the village of Sri Devapali, on the outskirts of Sri Navadip Mandal, and where he is absorbed in the worship of Sri Nrsimhadev. And today, after collecting alms, let us go there and take darshan of his lotus feet." So this is interesting that his Gurudev, Sri Pradyumna Brahmachari, here we go. It lives in Nrsimhadev. This is his Gurudev of Paramahaṁsa Bābājī, said to elevate. Because Lord Nrsimhadev, in his Gopisvar Mahadev form, actually Krishna has given him the boon to guard the entrance to the Rasa Lila dance. So that is why he's at Nrsimhadev, he's worshipping Lord Nrsimhadev in that form of Gopisvar Mahadev. Sannyāsī Ṭhākura replied, "I will follow whatever instructions you give me." After 2 o'clock, they crossed the Alakananda river and arrived in Sri Devapali. They then crossed the Suryatila river and took darshan of the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's associate, Sri Pradyumna Brahmachari, who was in the temple of Sri Nrsimhadev. And from afar, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī fell to the ground and offered prostrated obeisance to his guru, Pradyumna Brahmachari, then came out of the temple, his heart melting with affection for his disciple, and lifting Paramahaṁsa Bābājī with both hands and embracing him very lovingly, he inquired about his welfare. And after they had discussed topics concerning bhajan for some time, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī introduced Sannyāsī Ṭhākura to his guru. Brahmachari Ṭhākura said with great respect, "My dear brother, you have obtained a most qualified guru. You should study the book Prema Vivarta under Premadasa's direction." Kiba vipra kiba nyasi sudra kene naya Jai Krishna tattva veta say guru haya. Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Māyā 8.128. Whether one is a Brahman, a sannyas, or a Sudra, if he is fully conversant with all the truths regarding transcendental knowledge of Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he can become a guru. And Sannyāsī Ṭhākura humbly offered obeisances at the lotus feet of his Param Guru and said, "Prabhu, you are an associate of Śrī Caitanya-dev, and you can purify hundreds of arrogant sannyasis like me just by your merciful glance. Please bestow your mercy upon me." Sannyāsī Ṭhākura had no previous experience of the reciprocal behavior between Vaishnavas. However, he accepted the mutual dealings that he observed between his guru and Param Guru as the Sad Achar, proper etiquette, that he himself should follow. And from that day on, he behaved accordingly towards his own guru without a trace of duplicity. So this is like setting an example of a disciple, the etiquette, Vaishnava etiquette, and how a disciple behaves with a Gurudev. And when the evening arti was over, the Guru and Shishya returned to Sri Godrum. A few days after residing in the Kunj, Sannyāsī Ṭhākura became anxious to inquire about spiritual truth from Paramahaṁsa Bābājī. By this time, the sannyas had adopted all the ways of a Vaishnava except for his outer dress. And during his previous training, Sannyāsī Ṭhākura had developed qualities such as full control over his mind and senses, and had become firmly established in the conception of the non-dual, all-pervading absolute Brahma Nishta. And in addition, he had now acquired staunch faith in the transcendental pastimes of Parabrahma, Śrī Kṛṣṇa, and had become deeply humble. So one morning, after performing ablutions at the break of dawn, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī sat in the Madhavi grove chanting Harinam on his Tulsi Mala. And at that time, Shri Radha and Krishna Yugala Nishanta Leela, their pastimes just prior to dawn, gradually manifested within his heart. And because this was the time that Shri Radha and Krishna part from each other's company, leaving the Kunj to return to their respective homes, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī felt great pangs of separation, and tears of love streamed continuously from his eyes. And while absorbed in meditation on this pastime, he was internally engaged in service appropriate for that period of the day in his perfected spiritual form. And thus he had lost all awareness of his physical body. Sannyāsī Ṭhākura was captivated by Bābājī's state and sat beside him, observing his sattvic bhavs, transcendental symptoms of ecstasy. Suddenly, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī said to him, "Oh, Saki, silence Kakati at once, otherwise she will rouse Radha Govinda from their sleep of divine pleasure. Then Lalita Saki will become distressed and will rebuke me. Look, there, Ananga Manjari is signaling for you to do this. You are Ramana Manjari, and this is your designated service. Be attentive in this regard." So it's interesting that very quickly his Gurudev, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī, is given him his Swarup name. Raman Manjari is given this to the Sannyāsī Ṭhākura. So normally it's a very long process, this Bhakti Yoga, and to be able to get your Swarup so quickly, it's very rare. After uttering these words, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī felt unconscious. From that moment, Sannyāsī Maharaj, now acquainted with his spiritual identity and service, engaged himself accordingly. Thus the day dawned and the morning light spread its luster in the east. Birds began chirping melodiously in every direction, and a gentle breeze below. The extraordinary beauty of the Madhavi grove of Pradyumna Kunja, illuminated by the crimson rays of the rising sun, was beyond description. Okay, I'll prove that. Observation of banana bark. As he gradually regained external consciousness, he began to chant Sri Nam on his beads. Sannyāsī Ṭhākura then offered prostrated obeisances at Bābājī's feet, sat next to him, and with folded hands spoke with great humility. "Prabhu, O Master, this destitute soul wishes to submit a question before you. Kindly reply and pacify my anguished heart. May you be pleased to infuse Brajaras into my heart, which has been scorched by the fire of Brahma Gyan, knowledge aimed at the impersonal absolute, devoid of form, qualities and activities." Bābājī replied, "You are a fit candidate. Whatever questions you ask, I will answer as far as I'm able." Sannyāsī Ṭhākura said, "For a long time I have heard of the preeminence of Dharma. On numerous occasions I have asked the question, what is Dharma? To so many people, it is a cause of distress to me that the answer those people have given contradict each other. So please tell me, what is the true constitutional Dharma of the Jivas? And why do different teachers explain the nature of Dharma in such diverse ways? If Dharma is one, why don't all learned teachers cultivate that one universal Dharma, which is without a second?" Paramahaṁsa Bābājī meditated upon the lotus feet of Bhagavān, Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya, and began to speak. "O most fortunate one, I shall describe to you the principles of Dharma as far as my knowledge allows. An object is called a vastu, and its eternal nature is known as its nitya-dharma. Nature arises from the elementary structure of an object, and by Krishna's desire, when an object is formed, a particular nature is inherent in that structure as an eternal concomitant factor. This nature is the nitya-dharma of the object. The nature of a given object becomes altered or distorted when a change takes place within it, either by force of circumstances or due to contact with other objects. And with the passage of time, this distorted nature becomes fixed and appears to be permanent, as it were the eternal nature of that object. This distorted nature is not the svabhav, true nature. It is called nisarga, that nature which is acquired through a long-term association. This nisarga occupies the place of the factual nature and becomes identified as the svabhav. For example, water is an object and its svabhav is liquidity. And when water solidifies due to circumstances and becomes ice, the acquired nature of solidity takes the place of its inherent nature. In reality, this acquired nature is not eternal. Rather, it is occasional or temporary. It arises because of some cause, and when that cause is no longer effective, this acquired nature vanishes automatically. However, the svabhav is eternal. It may become distorted, but it still remains inseparably connected to its object. And the original nature will certainly become evident again when the proper time and circumstances arise. The svabhav of an object is its nitya-dharma, eternal function, while its acquired nature is its naimittika-dharma, occasional function. And those who have true knowledge of objects, vastu gyan, can know the difference between eternal and occasional function, whereas those who lack this knowledge consider acquired nature to be true nature, and they consequently mistake the temporary dharma for eternal dharma. What is it that is called vastu, and what is the meaning of svabhav? Asked Sannyāsī Ṭhākura. Paramahaṁsa Bābājī said, the word vastu is derived from the Sanskrit verbal root vas, which means to exist or to dwell. The verbal root becomes a noun when the suffix tu is added, and therefore vastu means that which has existence or which is self-evident. There are two types of vastu, vastava and avastava. The term truly abiding substance, vastava, vastu, refers to that which is grounded in transcendence. Temporary objects are vastu are dravya, solid objects, guna, qualities, and so on. Real objects have external existence. Unreal objects only have a semblance of existence, which is sometimes real and sometimes unreal. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, Vedyam vastavam atravastu Jīva-Dharma, only a truly abiding substance which is related to the Supreme Absolute Truth and which yields supreme auspiciousness is worthy of being known. From this statement, it is clearly understood that the only real substance is that which is related to supreme transcendence. Sri Bhagavān is the only real entity, vastava vastu. The living entity, Jīva, is a distinct or individual part of that entity, while Māyā, the potency that produces illusion, is the energy of that entity. And therefore, the word vastu refers to three fundamental principles, Bhagavān, the Jīva, and Māyā. Knowledge of the mutual relationships between these three principles is known as pure knowledge, Suddha-gyan. There are innumerable apparent representations of these three principles, and they are all regarded as avastava vastu, unreal substances. The classification of phenomena into various categories, such as dravya, objects, and guna, qualities, which undertaken by the Vaisheshika school of philosophy, is merely a deliberation on the nature of avastava vastu, temporary objects. The special characteristics, vishesha guna, of any truly abiding substance is its factual nature. The Jīva is a real entity, and his eternal characteristics, quality, is his true nature. Sannyāsī Maharaj said, Prabhu, I want to understand this topic very clearly. Bābājī Maharaj replied, Srila Kṛṣṇa-dāsa Kaviraj Goswami, who was an object of the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, showed me a manuscript that he had written with his own hand. Sriman Mahaprabhu has instructed us on this subject in the book named Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya 20.108 as follows. Jīva Swarupa Hoya Kṛṣṇa nitya-dāsa Kṛṣṇa tatastha shakti bhedābheda prakash. So the meaning of this is the constitutional nature of the Jīva is to be an eternal servant of Śrī Kṛṣṇa. He is the marginal potency of Kṛṣṇa and is a manifestation simultaneously one with him and different from him. Kṛṣṇa buli se Jīva anadi bahir mukha attaiva Māyā tare deya samsara dukkha. Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Māyā 20.117. The Jīva who has forgotten Kṛṣṇa has been preoccupied with the external potencies since time without beginning. Consequently, Kṛṣṇa's illusory potency, Māyā, gives him misery in the form of material existence. So it says here, since time immemorial. So it's not like just recently that as soon as the Jīva turns away from Kṛṣṇa, then Māyā gives him misery, will grab him or her, the person, and gives him misery in the form of material existence. So Kṛṣṇa is the complete transcendental substance, Chit Vastu. He is often compared to the sun of the spiritual realm. And the Jīvas are compared to the sun's atomic particle of the light. And Jīvas are innumerable. And when it is said that they are individual parts of Kṛṣṇa, it does not mean they are like the pieces of stone that forms a mountain. Although innumerable Jīva portions emanate from Śrī Kṛṣṇa, he is not diminished by this in the slightest. And for this reason, the Vedas have compared the Jīvas in one respect to sparks emanating from a fire. In reality, no adequate comparison can be made. No comparison whether to sparks of a blazing fire, atomic particles within the rays of the sun, or gold produced from a powerful mystic jewel is completely appropriate. The true nature of the Jīvas is easily revealed in the heart, but only when the mundane conception of this comparison is given up. Kṛṣṇa is infinite spiritual substance, Brihat Chit Vastu, whereas the Jīvas are infinitesimal spiritual substance, Anu Chit Vastu. The oneness of Kṛṣṇa and the Jīvas lies in their spiritual nature, Chit Dharma, but they are undoubtedly different as well because their natures are complete and incomplete respectively. And Kṛṣṇa is the eternal Lord of the Jīvas, and the Jīvas are Kṛṣṇa's eternal servants. This interrelationship is natural. Kṛṣṇa is the attractor, and the Jīvas are attracted. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme ruler, and the Jīvas are ruled. Kṛṣṇa is the observer, and the Jīvas are observed. Kṛṣṇa is the complete whole, and the Jīvas are poor and insignificant. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme powerful, whereas the Jīva has no power. Therefore, the eternal svabhavs or dharma of the Jīva is Kṛṣṇa-dāsa, eternal servant and obedience to Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa is endowed with unlimited potencies. His complete potency, Purna Shakti, is perceived in the manifestation of the spiritual world, Chit Jagat. Similarly, his marginal potencies is observed in the manifestations of the Jīvas. This special potency, known as Tatastha Shakti, accomplishes the function of the finite world, Apurna Jagat. The Tatastha Shakti, marginal potency, creates an entity, Vastu, that exists between the animate object, Chit Vastu, and inanimate object, Achit Vastu, and which can maintain a relationship with both the spiritual and material worlds. Purely transcendental entities are by nature quite the opposite of inanimate objects, and therefore have no connection whatsoever with them. Although the Jīva is an animate spiritual particle, he is capable of a relationship with inanimate matter because of the influence of the divine potency known as Tatastha Shakti. The boundary region between land and the water of a river is known as a tata, bank. This tata may be considered to be both land and water. In other words, it is situated in both. The divine Tatastha Shakti, which is situated in the border region, upholds the properties of both land and water, as it were in one existential entity. The Jīva's nature is spiritual, but still his composition is such that he can become controlled by dull matter, Jada-Dharma. And therefore, the Buddha Jiva, conditioned soul, is not beyond all connection with matter. Unlike the Jivas in the spiritual domain, Sudha Chit Jagat, nonetheless he is distinct from dull matter because of his animate spiritual nature. And since the Jiva is by nature different from both the purely spiritual entities and dull matter, he is classified as a separate principle, and therefore the eternal distinction between Bhagavān and the Jiva must be accepted. Bhagavān has full control over Māyā, his external potency, which creates illusion, for he is its supreme ruler. The Jiva, on the other hand, may under certain circumstances be controlled by Māyā, for he is subject to its influence. Hence these three principles, Bhagavān, the Jiva and Māyā, are real, Paramattika, Satya, and eternal. Of these three, Bhagavān is the supreme eternal principle and is the foundation of the other principles. The following statement of Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta Upanishad 2.2.13 confirms this. Nitya-nityanam, nitya-nityanam, chaitanas chaitanam, chaitananam. He is the supreme eternal amongst all eternals and the fundamental sentient being among all sentient beings. The Jiva is by nature both an eternal servant of Kṛṣṇa and the representative of his marginal potency. This demonstration that the Jiva is distinct from Bhagavān, yet at the same time is not separate from him, is therefore a manifestation that is both different and non-different, bhedābheda prakash. The Jiva is subject to domination by Māyā, whereas Bhagavān is the controller of Māyā. On the other hand, the Jiva and Bhagavān are non-different because by their constitutional nature, they are both transcendental entities, chit vastu. Moreover, the Jiva is a special potency of Bhagavān. Herein lies the eternal non-distinction between these two, where eternal distinction and non-distinction are found at one and the same time, eternal distinction takes prominence. The nitya-dharma of the Jiva is servitorship to Kṛṣṇa, and when he forgets this, he is subjected to the tyranny of Māyā, and from that very moment he becomes opposed to Kṛṣṇa. The fall of the Jiva does not take place within the context of material time. Accordingly, the words anadi bahirmukha are used, meaning that the Jiva has been diverted since time without beginning. From the moment of this diversion and the Jiva's entry into Māyā, his nitya-dharma becomes perverted, and therefore by the association of Māyā, the Jiva develops nisarga, an acquired nature, which thus facilitates the display of his temporary function and disposition, naimittika-dharma. The nitya-dharma, eternal function, is one, indivisible and faultless in all different situations, but the naimittika-dharma, temporary function, assumes many different forms when seen in diverse circumstances and when it is described in various ways by men of divergent opinions. Having spoken thus, Paramahaṁsa Bābājī stopped and began to chant Śrī Harinam Japa. And hearing this explanation of spiritual truth, Sannyāsī Ṭhākura offered prostration obeisances and said, Prabhu, I shall deliberate on all these topics today, and tomorrow I shall submit at your lotus feet any questions that may arise. Thus ends the first chapter of Jaiva-Dharma, entitled The Eternal and Temporary Dharmas of the Jivas. So we'll stop here for today, and we'll continue with chapter 2 next week on Sunday. Just trying to figure out if I can invite people to speak. And bring them on video. Okay, so I'll send an invitation. Okay, can't join at this time. Just invite a few people in. Okay, so you can't join at the moment. All right, a few people can't join. So what I could do is I could set up, you could send some, I could either set up a space where you can send your questions, and we can have like I can try and answer your questions. I'll bring Braja. I'll just send some invitations out. Oh, nobody can. All right. Okay. So we'll just sing a kirtan to finish this chapter. Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta Śrī Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Śrī Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta Śrī Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Gaura Hari. Nitai hai Gaura hai Nitai hai Gaura hai Nitai hai Gaura hai Nitai hai Gaura hai. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Samasundara Radha Samasundara Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Śrī Radhe. Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Śrī Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Vrisabhanu Nandini Vrindavana Vilasini Radhe Radhe. Vrindavana Vilasini Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Vrindavana Vrisabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe. Vrisabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Govinda Nandini Radhe Radhe. Govinda Nandini Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Tanumana Mohini Radhe Radhe. Tanumana Mohini Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Asta Sakira Shiromani Radhe Radhe. Asta Sakira Shiromani Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Jai Radhe Radhe Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Parama Karuna Mahi Radhe Radhe. Parama Karuna Mahi Radhe Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Radhe 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 Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. Prema Bhakti Pradayini Radhe Radhe. Prema Bhakti Pradayini Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Ei Boramore Doyokoro Radhe Radhe. Ei Boramore Doyokoro Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Aparada Shama Koro Radhe Radhe. Aparada Shama Koro Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Seva Adi Koro Dio Radhe Radhe. Seva Adi Koro Dio Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Sammara Kangala Tammaya Dakta Radhe Radhe. Sammara Kangala Tammaya Dakta Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe Radhe. Jai 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 Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe. Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe. Jaya Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Haribo. 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 Nitya Gaura Haribo. Nitya Gaura Haribo. 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 Nitya Gaura Haribo. Jai Jai Shri Guru Karanga Gandavika Giridhari Radha Vinod Biharaji Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Om Vishnupada Asatara Sata Shishimat Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Om Vishnupada Asatara Sata Shishimat Bhakti Vedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Om Vishnupada Asatara Sata Shishimat Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Om Vishnupada Asatara Sata Shishimat Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Om Vishnupada Asatara Sata Shishila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Param Bhagavat Prabha Shishila Gaurikishore Das Bābājī Maharaj Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Shishila Sachinanda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Vichalila Pravista Vaishnava Savabhama Shishila Jagannath Das Bābājī Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gaudiya Vinanacharya Shishila Baladevi Jivasana Prabhu Ki Jai. Shila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Shila Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shila Kṛṣṇa-dāsa Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanata Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jīva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Swarup Damodar Raya Ramanandari Shri Gaura Prasada Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Shri Mantadvip Gauramadvip Madhudvip Kaladvip Rutadvip Jaladvip Madradrumadvip Rudradvip Patmaka Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Vadas Manatmaka Shri Braj Mandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ganga Yamuna Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Mati Brinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Punamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeswar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jayu Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal Ki Jai. Sabha Vignaya Vinasakari Shri Nishingadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Prava Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charidam Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Charya Charya Ki Jai. Karamat Raja Śrī Caitanya-Mat ki jai, Śrī Kesavaji Gaudiya Mat, Otatsakamat Samuha ki jai, Śrī Giriraj Govardhan Gaudiya Mat ki jai, Grantharaj Śrīmad Bhagavatam ki jai, Śrī Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki jai, Samagata Bhakta Brinda ki jai, Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. My Dandavats pranams to everyone. Panchakalpas Rubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Bhyavacha, Patitanam Pavanbhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So until next week, Sunday, same time, same place. Hari Bo.